The purpose of this video is exercise 4-40-2. To do this particular exercise, I'm going to start on the front plane and click on Sketch. And just like I've done with many of the other videos I've done, I'm going to turn on my closed loop indicator, my open end indicator, and the grid. And then zoom in so that I can get an idea of what exactly I'm creating. I'm going to start this one by drawing a circle. Now I'm going to go ahead and dimension this circle, that way I know how big it is. And this has a radius of 1, which is a diameter of 2. So now that I've got the baseline that I can actually start working from, I'm going to go ahead and take and add a line from here, straight out, down, and back. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply an equal constraint to those lines. For those two lines to be equal and this line to be vertical, they have to rest at the same position, which actually makes them symmetrical about the center line. The overall length of this is going to be 4, so I will go ahead and dimension this object from this line to the center, which is going to be 4. And I'll zoom out and pan over a little bit so that I got everything on my screen. Now what I want to do is I want to add some additional dimensions. The thickness of this piece is 0.5, so we'll change that to 0.5. And now if I look here, I can see that I don't have any more dimensions that are weak, so I'm going to go ahead and go to delete segment, and I'm going to get rid of this line right here and this line segment right here. Now I've got just about everything in that I need to have in, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I have a closed loop, which I do, and then I will extrude this object. First finish my sketch, then click on extrude. My extrusion distance is going to be 2. So I'll go ahead and finish that extrusion. Now since I use the default plane as the center for my circle, then I can just go to the hole command, and it's probably going to be best if I create another axis, but I'm going to go ahead and just use the axis that I have. So I'm going to left click on this face and then hold down Control, and it's not letting me click the axis. So what I'm going to do, just to make life real easy, is I'm going to add an axis to that. So by adding the axis to that, it just gives me something that I can click on to make this particular hole. So once again, hole on this face, hold down Control, and not exactly sure where it put my axis. Oh, if I have them displayed, then it'll show up a little bit better. So just make sure that you have all of your reference points turned on, and it'll make things a little bit easier. And then I can hit Control and select that axis. I do want that hole to go all the way through and have a diameter of 1. Now in the book they're called out as radii because technically it's not a diameter unless it's a completed circle. But for the purpose of this class, we're going to call it a completed circle. So I'll go ahead and put that hole in. Next I'm going to do a new sketch on this face. And what this sketch is going to allow me to do is create this cutout section that I need over here on this side. So what I'm going to do is go to Use, and I'm going to select my inner loops and my outer loops, and then I can just draw 2 lines. One line from here straight across, and another line from here straight across. Now I need to go back to my delete segments. You can see I got a lot of open-ended parts on my profile. When I go to delete segments, I can get rid of this, 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 get rid of all of these segments right in through here, and what I should have left is a closed profile. Now it's indicating to me that this is not a closed profile, but it's also not showing any open-ended loops. So we'll figure out why that is here in a second. I do need a dimension from here to here of 0.25. So I'll go ahead and say OK. Now, if everything is working the way that it should, I should be able to extrude this piece. But as you can see, it's not wanting to extrude. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel out of this. And I'm going to right click on here and go back to edit definition on my sketch. Now, I knew before I even finished my sketch that it wasn't going to extrude, and the reason is because I can see right here that it's not a closed loop. So another tool that we have is this button right here, which will show any overlapping geometry. When I click on it, it pretty much highlights the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure it's these in here because I drew these lines, so it's probably these arcs. So I'm going to go to delete segment, and I'm going to get rid of this and this. Okay, it wasn't on that side, it was on this side. So now when I go back to the use command, I can just pull this information back in. And yes, I'm going to have to go through and actually delete the segments again, but you can see that even overlapping geometry will cause your extrusion to not work. Now once I trim all this out, I should see a closed loop profile. I can finish that sketch, go to extrude, say all, send it the other way, and removing material, and click on the finish button, and that's going to put in my groove. The next things that I want to do is I want to put in the holes that are on this surface here. And these are all going to be linear holes. So I'll just start with the normal hole command. I want it on this surface under placement. I need to pick my two references. I want my far edge up here and my edge down here. Okay, now for some reason I missed that one. So once you do the math, you figure out that this is 1.5. This is supposed to be 2.25. The hole goes through all and has a diameter of 0.25. Now, what I can do is once I finish this, I can create another hole, or I can just go ahead and array the current hole. So I'm going to click Finish, go right down to Array, and I'm going to select Direction, and I'll pick this line here to set my direction, but I want that direction to be flipped the other way. There are two holes, and I want them to be 1 apart. Now, these holes don't look like they're in the right location, but sometimes we got to realize that it may not be calling them out from the view that we're in. So this is actually way down here, so from the current view it doesn't look right at all, but once we apply the holes we can see that they're actually in the right place. I'll go back to the hole command to create this hole here. Now this hole is centered, so we're going to click on placement, offset references, and I will click here and here. From here it is 1. It is also 1 from here, and it does go through all. Now, the diameter of this particular hole is called out with a bunch of different things. It's a diameter 5 hole with a counterbore diameter of 1. Now, I can actually go to shape and change this into a complex hole, but what the complex hole is going to want to do in almost every single instance is it's going to want to add a thread designation, and we don't have a thread designation, so I'm just going to stick with a simple hole. It is through all. There's no other option in here for counterbore, so we'll make sure that it does go through all, and I want it to have a diameter of 0.5. Now I'm actually going to use this hole, so I'll finish this, and then I'll go right back to the hole command, pick this surface, and then hold Control and select the axis that that hole was created from. Change this to a diameter of 1, change my depth to 0.125. And now I can click on that, and what it'll do is create the counterbore for that particular hole. So this is the completed exercise for 4-40-2. There's a lot of little nuances and stuff like that in here. But one of the things to make sure of is that you're using the tools that you have to figure out exactly what's wrong. The last thing that I need to do is apply my 2 rounds. So I'll click on the round button, and these need to be 0.3, and the set is going to be this edge right here and this edge right here. Click to finish that off, and there is 4-40-2.